You are Locked On Hornets, your daily Charlotte Hornets podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome in. This is Locked On Hornets here on the Locked On Podcast Network. It's Hornets Talk for the hardcore fan, coming to you from the Gittimer.com studios in BEA, beautiful uptown Charlotte. I'm Doug Branson, joined by the man in the middle, my co-host on Locked On Hornets Daily, David Walker.
That's me, Doug. Excellent description of me. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's what I'm here for, just to describe you and get out of the way. And holding down the left block, hell, he's holding down the entire block at Trade Street in Caldwell. Joining us live from Spectrum Center in uptown Charlotte, he covers the Hornets. He's covering the Hornets right now. He's on the job, folks, for ESPN Charlotte. Justin Thomas. Justin, what's going on, my man?
Nothing much. You know, I'm back here hanging out. I don't know if you call this backstage or whatever, but you know, I'm back here pretending like I'm in a green room. All is well.
Have you ever been backstage at a concert, Justin?
I have once.
New Kids on the Block? Mariah Carey?
It was Redman and Method Man.
Redman and Method. Wow,
that's a good one. What's
what's going on back
backstage
there?
like
what's
that?
going on back there? Describe
a little hazy, maybe.
You know, actually, I was really young, so I didn't get any of the young adult festivities. I was just there for autograph purposes, though.
Hey, Mr. Method Man, can I have your autograph?
Yeah, it was about like that. We took family pictures and all that good stuff.
We've got a great show ahead. We intercepted some gifts meant for Hornets players by accident, or maybe we beat up Santa. I don't know. We'll send them back, but first we got to show you what the Hornets players are getting from old Saint Nick. And the Hornets are finally out of their scheduling gauntlet. Should we expect a different team moving forward? But first, we have to do what we always do at the beginning of the show, and that's step back.
And he's got to hit the three on that one.
Three things we saw in the past week of Hornets action that made us scream louder than the N64 kid at Christmas. David, start us off. What you got?
Steve Clifford has been begging. He's been pleading. He's been crying for some physicality. That's what he wanted for Christmas. He needed
somebody.
It. They didn't have it against the Wizards. They had it a little bit better against the Pistons, the Celtics.
Yep.
But then against those pesky Atlanta Hawks, they brought the physicality. And the captain, Kemba Walker, showed off that physicality on two important rebounds here in this fourth quarter against those Hawks.
I have one of them here.
There's one of them is the defensive rebound that he just tussled away.
Watch him. Wait.
It goes up. He's the smallest guy in between three guys, one of whom is
Watch
Dwight
Schroeder
Howard.
come in there right at the last second.
Away from
No,
Schroeder.
sir.
The other one we don't have ended up in a Marco Bellinelli three-point play or three-pointer. Kemba took the shot, got his own rebound, and got two more shots out of that possession, ended in a big Marco three-pointer. I love it. I mean, that's what you need from Kemba Walker. That's what you want for your leader. It epitomized what this team was doing in that game and how they won a very important end-of-road trip game.
I'm sorry I didn't get the second video for you, but at least I did remember to loop them this week. So, hey, Mark, happy game day to you. Yeah, it is game day. The Hornets taking on the Lakers tonight. That's why our friend Justin joining us via phone. And what's going on back there, Justin? I heard, was that a Raptor? I thought we were playing the Lakers.
Yes, they are playing the Lakers today. But there is one somber thing about them playing my Los Angeles Lakers.
I didn't know you were suiting up tonight.
Okay.
What position do you
Kobe
play?
Bryant today. You know, I'm a point guard.
There's no more Kobe, Justin. No one told you? He's not coming back.
I didn't realize that until I started looking at Lou Williams and Jordan Clarkson and realized, oh my God, Kobe isn't here anymore. But, you know, the Hornets are back in action tonight, and I'd like to assume you can expect some good things, but every time I say that, it tends to turn out to be the exact opposite.
It's been up and down.
Yep.
Hey, Justin, what are you stepping back to this week?
Now, what am I stepping back with? Are you ready for this? Because that was a great question. Yesterday, Clifford was addressing the media, and one thing I praise Clifford for is his perspective. And he made some interesting comments. I asked him about how they were going on their stretch of 18 and 32. They finished at 8 and 10. And he said, you know,
Wait,
when I was
Justin,
sitting
I
back-
have the video. I have the video and the audio. So you asked him about that stretch and coming out of that stretch and how he felt about the team out of that stretch. Here's what he said. Wrong button. There's what
If you look at the East, Cleveland and Toronto have separated themselves from everybody else, and I would say there's 10, 11 teams for 6 spots. We're one of those teams, and it's just like what's happened in the NFL. It's going to be the teams that get better. I told the guys today, I was watching the Green Bay post-game press conference yesterday, and Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, sorry about that, folks. Let's go back out to Steve again.
If you look at the East, Cleveland and Toronto have separated themselves from everybody else, and I would say there's 10, 11 teams for 6 spots. We're one of those teams, and it's just like what's happened in the NFL. It's going to be the teams that get better. I told the guys today, I was watching the Green Bay post-game press conference yesterday, and Aaron Rodgers said, yeah, we're winning because we've gotten better, because we practiced better and we've gotten better. It's going to be the same thing in our league. It's going to be the teams that keep getting better. And we have to play more consistently. I think the last 2 nights, our defense was better again. We played with more physicality. When our purpose on offense is good, we're very good. That's been up and down too, but we have to play with more consistency.
All right, so there you have it, Steve Clifford at practice. Justin, what other than the Aaron Rodgers drop, what interested you about those comments?
It's about his perspective. Yes, the Hornets are 15-13. They're a little above 500, and that's not great. But no NBA season is won or lost after 28 games. It's a long 82-game season, and Clifford understands that. And, teams aren't playing their best right now. Now, you might have, like the Warriors and Cavs and, like Rockets that have been playing really well. But Clifford always says it, is you want to get better. So if you think, okay, after 28 games, we're 15-13, and we're 4th in the East, could you just imagine how they could be if they played consistent basketball night in and night out?
Mm-hmm.
And Clifford, if he knows one thing, if he knows how to keep these perspective, and he understands what's ahead. So I think he's going to continue to preach that message, and hopefully you'll see a trend that continues as the season progresses of the Hornets playing good basketball.
Yeah, it's tough. Coming out of that road stretch, they do go 1-4 there, David. But at 15-13, they lead their division. We talked about this morning the ESPN projections: 80+% to go to the playoffs, 70+% to win the division. I mean, those are good numbers. The team is in a good place if you understand where they've been in the schedule.
Yeah, especially considering that rough road trip. And we looked at the schedule coming up, right? I think that's a big thing. They've got to make up that ground that they lost on that road trip in the next 2 weeks, right? They've got a very winnable slate of games, starting with the Lakers and then the Bulls. And then next week, I believe, don't quote me on this, Doug, the Magic is in there. And one more, and the Heat, right before they play the Cavaliers again at home on New Year's Eve. So I do think it would help to get a little buffer, against these other teams, because we saw it last year when it's so tight in there and so jumbled up. Any little advantage you can find will help
Brooklyn.
you. Yeah. And Brooklyn, that's the other team, right? So those are winnable games, and this is kind of a sleepy week between Christmas and New Year's and the holidays and family. Plenty of distractions to be had, but they got to lock down and focus on winning some of these games.
All right, real quick, I'm going to step back to the Atlanta game as well. Let's take a look at this video. It's the final play here. Marvin Williams with the nail in the coffin, my favorite play of this past week, and he was so excited about it. Here's the other angle. Instead of splitting the screen, Kemba decides to fire that pass right into the shot pocket, and Marvin could not be more excited. So we're excited too. And I think that's a key. They stayed healthy through this road trip, but they still need Marvin Williams, Frank Kaminsky, other guys to step up and knock down shots. So that's the step back 3. Let's talk about the question of the show. Each week we're asking our question of the show. Send us your response on Twitter at Locked On Hornets, and it will pop up on the screen next to us, or if you're watching us live on YouTube or Facebook, just leave it in the comments and we'll read them later in the show. This week's question is, if you could improve one skill, you get one skill for one player to improve the Hornets team right now, what would it be? So that's the question of the show. And let's see, David, why don't you? Yeah,
let me take this over for you, Doug, because we got a little Doug special here.
Appreciate it.
It's been a rare event to see these guys in December after a full practice because of the month that has been chock full of games. Everyone around the team is making a big deal about this 2 days rest thing, Doug. And you had a chance to swing by practice.
I did.
And catch up with Marvin Williams and find out what could lead to an uptick in some wins.
Given the option of a game or practice, it's not often an NBA player would even entertain the choice of practice. But after a stretch of 33 days without 2 days rest, the Hornets were relishing an opportunity for rest and regrouping.
One practice can really go a long way. It kind of gets you back to building some of the habits that you started before you met a stretch like that. So just getting an extra day of rest and obviously just one more day of practice is always good.
The stretch began all the way back on November 18th against the Atlanta Hawks in Charlotte. The Hornets won that game in a 100-96 thriller to move to 8-3. 16 games and 4 back-to-backs later, the Hornets faced off against the Hawks once again, this time riding a 4-game losing streak and facing the prospect of falling to 500 in a competitive Eastern Conference. But it was Marvin Williams' 3 that put the Hornets ahead for good deep in the fourth quarter. Williams doesn't believe in excuses, no matter the scheduling difficulties.
A lot of guys in here have been around for a long time, so at one point or another, you've endured a stretch like that before. So, like I said, man, don't look too far ahead. Just focus on the day that's in front of you, whether it be a practice day or a game day.
Marvin may not be ready to admit it, but head coach Steve Clifford saw the effects that this stretch had on his team and even his staff.
When you literally every day is either getting ready to play or it's game day, it wears you on you a little bit. So to have 2 days off is good. And actually, we have 2 days off again between the next 2 games. So I think it will give us a chance to get refreshed and then hopefully have good energy, as we go through this stretch here.
The Hornets finally got a day to breathe Sunday. But Monday offered them an opportunity to refocus on the things that led them to that early 8-3 start.
Our defense hasn't been great the last couple games, so we really worked on that for more than an hour today. It's been a while since we did that, and a day like that was useless.
The Hornets currently own the NBA's 6th best defensive rating, but that number drops to 20th over the last 5 games. With the Hornets' offense inconsistent at times, they'll need to get back to the tough defensive team they were early on. The season is still young, and many schedule traps lie ahead in the months to come. The Hornets will have to stay focused and stay healthy if they want to maintain their division lead.
You really got to try to focus on your body, getting your rest, eating the right foods, make sure you stay hydrated. And again, Coach Cliff does a great job of making sure guys get enough rest. He may cancel a shoot around here or there. He doesn't really make us practice very often when you're going through a stretch like that. So he definitely does a great job of helping us, and we have to do a good job of taking care of our bodies as well.
From Charlotte, Doug Branson, Locked On Hornets.
Big thanks to Hornets PR for helping us out with that report. That's the kind of thing we want to bring you here on this show and on our daily show as well, insider access. So what do you guys think about getting some rest finally for this team? I mean, I think it's a bigger deal than one would think, the 2 days. Not just because of the rest factor of getting fresh legs, but I think of getting that in-depth practice. And especially for a team like this, right? That's a team defense. They're not going to rely on 2 or 3 guys to really anchor their defense. Everyone has to be on the same page. And to do that, to get there, you have to have the practice time.
Yeah, it's a grind, right? I mean, anytime when you're in that span of time and you're just game, and you mentioned not having those 2 days off and some time to practice, some time to come up for air, that's going to affect guys, especially when you just can't seem to get over that hump. Like this last road trip, right? They were close in all of these games, save for the Celtics game, which was without Kemba. But you just couldn't get one of those wins to go their way, and so they needed that win in Atlanta for a lot of reasons. But I think to end on a good note and then get out of there with a win was important. But you're right. I mean, these days off and just to get back home too. I think that's important because they do need to get their home winning record up. They're 8-6 now, but that was a big boost for them last year. They're 500 on the road, but a key to being 40 to 50 win team is getting those home wins.
Yeah, they got to get the home win. So let's go to Justin, who is live in Spectrum Center, joining us by phone. Justin, what do you see against the Lakers here, and then Chicago on Friday? What do the Hornets have to do to get 2 straight home victories?
I would love to say something very in depth and give you a lot of great things, but
We would love that too.
Do it, Justin.
Don't be afraid.
But just of being around this team and knowing Clifford is, usually you play a team, you say, oh, they have to take away this player, or have to do that. Clifford always says it. You just, like, when you're not playing well, you just don't show up and play a great game. That's not going to happen. But you're going to have to play your game and play that game well. That means low fouls, low turnovers. That means good defense. And that means being efficient.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing of playing the Bulls and the Lakers, they aren't two tough teams. I mean, they could now. The Bulls have some things that can make some difficulties for you. Chicago. Excuse me, I said the Bulls. The Lakers also have some young guys that can score the ball and do some things. But the Hornets are the better of those two teams.
Yeah, so they have to go out there and make their shots for sure, and keep it up on the offensive end. But it all starts with defense in my mind, David. If you look at the splits, wins versus losses, and you take a look at points per game, you take a look at field goal percentage, even 3-point percentage, it's relatively the same whether this Hornets team wins or loses. But then you flip it over to the opponent percentages. Field goal percentages in losses for opponents, 47.7 versus 41 in wins. In 3-point percentage, 39.7 in losses versus 30%. They hold teams to 30% in their victories. And then points per game, the Hornets giving up 111 points per game in L's and 94.4. That's significant in victory. So it starts at the defensive end. It will start there against the Los Angeles Lakers. Also, the Lakers, they're big fans of stealing the basketball, especially that bench unit. Well, Nick Young, too, for the starters. He loves to steal. Jordan Clarkson, D'Angelo Russell can steal the basketball. So the Hornets will have to actively limit their turnovers. They're playing a team tonight that's going to want to nab that basketball.
Yeah, and that is one of their strengths, or it typically is for the Hornets, to not turn the ball over that much. But you're right. I mean, they stick to the basics. They stick to what works well for them. But you look at some of those percentages in the losses on that road trip, and the opposing team was not only launching a lot of three-pointers, which we've harped on a lot, but they were allowed to make them, as well. So that's right. I mean, you look at what they're giving up to their opponent, the shooting percentages were insane on some of those losses. So that comes back to some of the physicality too, right?
Absolutely. No, it does. And because obviously they've got to keep teams off the boards. I mean, that's one of their strengths. And that's, in my mind, I asked Marvin too about what he thought physicality meant when Clifford harps on physicality. And, it's about, yes, bodying up, keeping guys off the offensive boards. But there's also a sense of physicality in terms of closing out fast enough, in terms of giving it your all. Every single possession. I mean, it's tough to do, but that's what's required when you don't have that, superstar that can carry your team on an off night, which the Hornets just simply don't have. So that's definitely a factor as well. Okay, time now for a favorite segment here on the show, Question of the Show.
Always question with the Q. Questions help us learn things new. Question marks are very cool, especially when you're in school. Always question when you try. You'll find who, what, where, when, why. Question marks are very fun. Let's break them down now one by one.
All right, question of the show. If you could improve one skill to one player to improve this basketball team. This comes to us, by the way, from Captain Kurt. Shout out to Captain Kurt. What's going on, my man? How you doing there behind the glass? Jobbing the job. He's like, look, I am focused, and you are taking me out of my zone. Don't do this to me. Okay, well, Captain Kurt, we have a special guest in the studio, Calamity James. You're going to hear from her coming up here in a few minutes. She's hanging out with us. She's going to be a big part of the show. It's exciting. I tell you, we're a family. We're growing. Everything's
like
solid.
my two dads in here.
We are busy over here. We cannot be bothered.
That's right. Okay, guys, calm down. We're going to have a studio revolt here in a minute. Okay, let's get to the question of the show. If you could improve one skill to one player to improve this team, what would it be? Tweet it to us at Locked On Hornets. Let us know here on the YouTube chat, or what else can they do? They can email it to us, buzz@lockedonhornets.com. We'll read them on the next show. Okay, first up, David, what you got?
For the improvement, Doug. That's what you would like.
Yes.
A lot of
one
ways
skill,
you could,
one player, improve the team.
A lot of ways you could go on this one, but for me, one of the things that has been sticking in my crawl.
Crawl?
Yeah.
Crawl or
my
crawl?
Crawl, right? My pesky crawl has been Marco Bellinelli's man-to-man defense, and we highlighted that a little bit last week. Anytime you see an easy open layup, I play a little game where I pause it because I have a DVR. I pause it, boop, boop, and I run it back, and I just trace where that man came from. And 90% of the time, he's coming from Marco Bellinelli. And Marco's been fantastic. He's been awesome. He's been great.
It looks like one of those Family Circus. You remember the Family Circus cartoons with the dotted line where the kid would run around? Yeah, that's what it looks like.
There's also like one of those, like you can see the wind gust go out from, when he's going around.
Exactly. Well, no, sometimes.
This is great for a podcast, by the way.
Here's the thing. Yeah, if you're listening, we apologize. Here's the thing about Marco, though. His offense as of late has been making up. So I think you're picking nits a little bit.
I told you about my crawl. Okay.
Your crawl. Okay. You have a very sensitive crawl.
I'm just saying that was the thing that came to mind. I think because, hey, look, in a couple of those losses, a basket here or there, an easy layup here or there, it could have made a difference. Now, look, it's basketball. Stuff happens during the flow of a game. But that's one thing that I would choose for my man Marco Bellinelli.
Justin, what do you think? We're gonna bring you back in here. We had a little noise issue there before.
Yeah, man. All right, back to focus. I thought about this. I got really excited when I saw this question, but I already know what it is. When we watch this game, fans always ask, Batum has, a near max deal. Why is he not scoring enough points? And I realized what could change all of that.
Okay.
If Nick had a better ball handle. If Nick had better handles, Nick could create his own shot. Because you got to think, he's a solid defender. He's a solid shooter. He's a great passer. But usually when you know of guys that can score, they're either really athletic or they can handle the basketball. And if Nick Batum had a much tighter handle, he could definitely become a better scorer. And scoring would definitely help this basketball.
Ooh la la.
Yeah.
Indeed.
I think David, you think that's fair? I mean, I think, everyone has deficiencies in their game. I think you look at Nick Batum's, he's methodical. He's just slow with the basketball in terms of, because he knows that the ball moves faster in the air than it moves on the ground. That's science, folks. That's math.
That's just
okay.
Facts.
Facts are facts. But yeah, I mean, I think you're right. He finds his own shot by virtue of his length. Would you not agree with that? He doesn't find it via his.
I agree.
He's not going to.
He uses his body position.
Body positioning and length to rise up over guys. He doesn't necessarily have to use the handle, but, Justin's right. If he had a handle, he'd probably, at that point, he'd be a superstar, I think. Then you've got.
He probably would.
That's the fifth tool,
Yeah.
Okay.
Doug?
Good.
Doug?
All right, here's my one
turn,
thing.
Branson.
Here's my one thing, and I got echoed by one of our Twitter followers. The Twitter follower said Frank Kaminsky's athleticism. I'm going to say Frank Kaminsky's defense, okay? And I already mentioned the offensive splits versus the defensive splits. It's obviously an issue. On the second unit, it has been inconsistent as well, although strangely, as of late, the second unit, the full bench unit, has been doing a great job of preventing three-pointers. Over the last 10 games, 2 of 11, I believe, is the final count.
And they'll be tested tonight.
They will be very tested tonight, with Clarkson and Lou Williams.
The number one bench scoring unit in the league, the Lakers.
True, but which one of those guys is going to keep Ramon away from the rim, or which one of those guys is going to be able?
Sometimes Ramon defends himself.
Well, that's fine, but Marco has been hitting. Marco has been hitting shots over way tougher defense than those two cats. So,
oh yeah.
But in the last 5 games, Frank Kaminsky has a distributed field goal percentage, or most people say defensive field goal percentage, of 51.9%, meaning 51.9% of the shots that came his way ended up in the bucket. He's shooting 47.3% for a grand total of plus 4.7 for the opposition. So he's a net negative on the defensive end. Carry the 2. You get what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
For the season, for the entire season, it's 3.5. So his defense is heading in the wrong direction. But he's having some success limiting three-pointers, but he just can't stop anyone at the rim right now. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that his closeouts are too aggressive and guys are getting rim runs. He's unable to really physically match up with some of the bigger matchups that he gets. So it's all around been a struggle. Although I will say that against Atlanta, I felt like he had a tough matchup. He had to go up against Kent Bazemore because they were going small. They brought Bazemore off the bench.
I mean, and that's the tough spot about that position, right? I mean, if he's playing the stretch 4, right, he's going to be put in some tough spots.
At 7 feet tall.
I mean, jeez.
Doesn't have the size either. So it's tough, but at the same time, that's what I think it's the missing piece on that second unit. If Frank Kaminsky plays better deep, because the problem is what's really been bad defensively for the second unit is when they have Ramon, Marco, Nick, Frank, and Roy Hibbert. That's been the death lineup for the Hornets defensively. And so if Frank can be a little bit more physical at the rim or keep players from driving, that's the big thing. It's not even when they get to the rim, it's keeping them out of the paint. That's going to help Roy Hibbert. He'll be able to provide that help defense as well, but
now, do you think that can come? Because I thought that Frank last year had that issue on offense. I mean, I didn't think he was very strong with the ball. I thought he's been more aggressive and more decisive this year, but he's an offensively wired guy, right? I mean, he's an offensive player. I mean, that's why they drafted him. Do you think he can develop that sort of toughness on defense? And under Clifford's tutelage, I mean, look at the guys that have come through that are historically not defensive guys. Basically everybody. I mean, for the most part, anyone who's come through here has been better on defense than they were.
Well, I said this on 94.3 The Game in Greenville this morning on the Mark Paschal Show. Take a listen to it, by the way, on iTunes. Search Mark Paschal, Paschal. I said this. I don't think it's going to happen this season.
No,
I think it's got to.
It works in the off season.
But I'm interested to see these next 2 games because again, I think that his descent, you can measure it and look at it against their really tough schedule because I feel like Frank more than anyone needed time to regroup and figure some things out. So they got a whole practice full of in-depth defensive work. So if he doesn't perform well against the Lakers and he doesn't perform well defensively against Chicago, then Houston, there's a problem.
Yeah, I just think it's always going to be an issue because of that athleticism, right? I mean, he is 7 feet. I don't see him getting a whole lot more athletic going forward in his career, but that doesn't mean he can't become a good team defender and play within the system.
Right. That's what I'm saying. You need him to be an average defender for sure. Okay, let's get to – so here's what happened. Some people, I think, got a little confused. They sent gifts to the Hornets, not gifts, but gifts.
GIFs?
No, presents. They were sending Christmas presents to the Hornets, got confused, and they ended up here at Locked On Hornets. I have a few of them here. Actually, the first one has been sitting on our desk melting a little bit. This is so this was the first one. A frozen burrito got sent to the Hornets. Can you guess, David, which Hornet was supposed to be the recipient of this present?
Well, it's not Marvin because he likes those healthy foods.
That's right. Okay. He just said it. He said, keep your body right.
Keep that eating good.
Now, this is going for Marco because he's the microwave. He's heating these things up. This one's already kind of heated up. I think it's almost at the point where I could rip it open and eat it right now. A little halftime snack time. All right, I've got the box of presents here. We got next up 2 plane tickets. 2 plane tickets. One way, not one way. We're not sending them there forever.
Okay.
These plane tickets are to send Kimba to the All-Star game, David.
Media members, right? We can use them now. Media members and players.
I'm holding out hope that we're going to be on that panel.
I'm Kemba Walker, and I approve this message.
All right, we're going to go through these quick because we're running out of time. I got a pillow here. This pillow sent to the Hornets actually got sent to Locked On Hornets instead. This was for the entire team because they need some rest, David.
Oh, yeah.
We already talked about that, right?
Take a snooze.
Get some rest. 2 days
rest.
Put
your Netflix on. And chill if you want.
Oh, this is a good one. This is an open lock. An open lock because the
None of these are wrapped. That's weird.
What's that? What? I unwrapped them.
You unwrapped them. You know, my brother did that to me one Christmas morning when we were young. Before I woke up, he opened up all my presents.
This is for this.
Have you ever heard of that?
He opened up all of your presents.
Mine.
What did he open up his?
He opened up every present, Doug.
He opened them all. It was the worst Christmas. This open lock is for the CBA because we're not going to have a lockout.
Lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up. Lock it up.
It's so exciting. I can't believe it. I can't believe it seems like every labor dispute has ended in a lockout, however short or long.
Well, and it only makes sense. I mean, we talked about this a little
Too
when
much
the news
money.
broke. Yeah, it's money for everyone, and everyone likes money. You and I like money. We have some.
We'd
like some more.
We would like to acquire
That's where
some
you
more.
come in.
All right, this next one, a pair of
Oh my God.
a pair of goggles. I can't get these on. I'll just have to hold them. This pair of goggles for these were addressed to Marvin Williams because he's trying to get that 3-point stroke back.
All right.
It looks like I'm about ready to go pod racing, I think.
You just really got Star Wars on the brain.
Have you seen Star Wars yet?
Have you guys heard about this Star Wars?
All right.
It's going to be big. It's going to be huge.
All right, last two presents, then we got to get to the showdown. Let's bring Justin Thomas back in if that let's see if that herd of elephants has passed yet there at the Spectrum Center. Justin, are you there, my friend?
Oh yeah, I'm still here. I've been listening to all the good stuff.
All right. So Justin, I have your present here. This is a Jackery. This is a rechargeable battery for your smartphone.
There we go.
Because your smartphone's always going dead. And, so this is going to help you out. I'm going to bring this to you at the game here in a few minutes, so be looking
You know
out.
what?
Merry Christmas.
Whoever did, you know what? That's beautiful right there.
I didn't know where you were going.
All right, and this is a final gift. By the way, let me give you your gift. So check this out. I'm going to put this up on the screen so that people can see it. This is a basketball sneakers of the 1990s.
Whoa.
Poster.
Doug.
Yeah, pop that bad boy up.
You.
I don't know your like framing habits, so I didn't want to like frame it for you or anything.
Well, I take all my
don't know what
framing needs to Frame Warehouse in
you go.
Charlotte.
Oh yeah,
It's delightful.
Our friend, our good
See our
friend.
friend Alan over there.
Yeah. So check that out. Unfurl that for the fine folks. Look at that.
Look at that, you
Look at
dudes.
that. You just put that in your.
Oh man.
In your
Doug,
room.
This is
what. By the way, this is what he gave to me. This is an Anthony Mason. Oh, this is beautiful. Anthony Mason.
It's a starting lineup figure that someone has fashioned into a Christmas ornament.
That's beautiful. By piercing poor Anthony Mason's head open. Rest in peace, Anthony. Okay, let's get you set for a week. Justin, yes, final word, Justin. What's up?
You know, I didn't have anything good to say.
All right, good. You're great. Okay, let's get you set for a week of golden opportunities for the Hornets, plus a little controversial Cam talk for you Panthers fans. Saddle up. It's time for the Showdown.
Welcome to the Showdown with Calamity James. Here are the matchups to keep an eye on this week. The Chicago Bulls have had a very streaky December, starting with a win against Cleveland, followed by losses to Dallas, Portland, and Detroit. Those losses were followed by home victories against San Antonio and Miami, then losses to Minnesota and Milwaukee twice, even getting blown out 95-69 at home. Following that game, head coach Fred Hoiberg had one of the longest practices of the year and described it as training camp in an effort to get back to the basics and ramp up the Bulls' energy. Apparently it worked because they then went out to beat Detroit 113-82. Players like Dwayne Wade, Rajon Rondo, and Jimmy Butler are always going to be tough to play against, but it's their unpredictability as a team that makes them particularly difficult to evaluate. After all, we don't know if the Hornets will see the Bulls team that beat Cleveland and San Antonio, or the one who lost to Dallas and only put up 69 points against Milwaukee. But I guess we shall see on Friday. Lakers rookie Brandon Ingram is one of the most versatile players in the NBA, and even played point guard in Monday's loss to the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Lakers' core players are very talented but very young, and the young versatility does lead to mistakes, similar to what we saw Milwaukee make during our games earlier this year. First-year head coach Luke Walton is attempting to undo some of the damage former head coach Byron Scott did with these core players, but he still has a ways to go. Still, the Hornets have to stay on their toes for this one because if they aren't, it could turn into another game like they had versus the Wizards. NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell said this past offseason that player safety is going to be a priority for the league and the officials, with a special emphasis on helmet-to-helmet hits. However, after the Panthers' first game, the officials admitted they missed 2 infractions against Denver. Since then, some have speculated that the officials aren't calling these penalties when they happen against quarterback Cam Newton because of his size and playing style, and Cam has continued to take the hits. He even met with Goodell in an attempt to get more calls to go his way. However, with another roughing the passer call last night that not only went unflagged, but actually actually got Cam a penalty, Goodell has to step up and hold his officials accountable. That said, since Cam clearly can't rely on the officiating to protect him as a quarterback, the burden ultimately rests on another group who could use some stability, the Panthers' offensive line.
You got a gun plenty, or will you use mine?
Yes.
Good stuff there as always, and just really hard-hitting stuff on the Panthers there.
Accurate.
Accurate.
Very accurate.
And somebody needs to say it. Gosh darn it! All right, thanks thanks to Calamity James as always, and she's joining us in studio. She's gonna be around the show. She's gonna be doing much more. So just follow her on Twitter at Calamity_James. Okay, one last thing time. Eric Collins. I feel like Eric Collins is just the one last thing MVP.
Friend of the show.
He's gonna take us out of this show with a little holiday rhyme from a few weeks ago. Check it out.
It's the holiday season, so whoop-de-doo and dickory-dock. And don't forget to hang up your sock.
Man, nobody does it like he does.
Nobody can. It's impossible. Hey, thanks so much for listening to this live edition of Locked On Hornets. However you celebrate the holidays, stay warm, stay safe, and stay kind. Follow us on Twitter at Locked On Hornets. Subscribe to us on iTunes and stay up to date on the Hornets every single day. Email us your Hornets thoughts and questions and comments to buzzbuzz@lockedonhornets.com. For David and Justin and Calamity James and Captain Kurt, I'm Doug. Go Hornets. Go America. What's up, Santa? Let's swarm Charlotte.